Good morning. Thank you. First off, thanks for the introduction. It's always, when somebody does an introduction of you, you always try to think back about your life. And you saw the ads in 2010 with my mom, and she was a wonderful person. She was a pretty tough person. And I bought the donut shops because I'd gotten out of the Navy. My mom was struggling to pay for three kids at home, and my adopted dad was disabled. And so she was able, she ran a good donut shop. She didn't take advice very well. Of course, I was 22 and she was a little bit older, but she did really well, and enabled her to put food on the table and support her husband, my dad, my adopted dad, and my three younger siblings. And so it was really nice. First off, I just want to let you know, Harris Rosen, if you know him, you might give him a call. He's got a son that's has a health problem right now, and he would appreciate it. And even though I called him about that, first thing he brought up is, if I knew anybody that had been successful financially and would do something like he was doing at Tangelo Park and other areas. I mean, he cares about these kids. He's just a wonderful person that he's been a very successful business person, but wants to give back. And if you look at our state and you look at why our state is so successful, it's because of individuals like you that are, you worry about your own family and you worry about your own business, but you're also giving back and making this a better place for everybody. So thank you for what you're doing. The most thing I want to thank you about is 1,191,000 jobs in 5 years and 8 months. So, and all of you have been part of it. If you decide to run for governor, there's an opening in 2018. And whatever you run on, it's nice if it works. I remember when I started running in 2010, and we had lost 800,000 jobs in 4 years, and I had a 7-7-7 plan, 7 steps to 700,000 jobs over 7 years, and pretty much everybody said that was not doable. The economists said we probably wouldn't even get, in 8 years, we wouldn't even get to single-digit unemployment, and because of your hard work, what the chamber has done, the support of the chamber, the support of making sure the right people get elected. I mean, we've had a dramatic turnaround in our state. And I just want to, I know there's a few people here that I work with, I can see a little bit, but Sissy Proctor, I hope everybody has met Sissy. If you'll stand up so everybody knows you. Sissy runs the Department of Economic Opportunity. Then the money bags is Jim Boxell. He is spending $10.8 billion. So I think when I got elected, I think the first year budget for transportation was, I think it was Jim was like $5.6 billion. And now we've had a 9.8, 9.2, and $10.8 billion budgets. And so, the negative is we have a lot of construction going around the state, but the positive is people want to live in a place where you can get around. And so our DOT is doing a good job. They're spending your money well. Sissy's has been a DEO for a while, but became the executive director this year. And every month she's hit her numbers. My goal is at least 20,000 jobs a month to keep this up, and we've been doing it. And then we hit 105 million tourists last year. So Will Seckham's here, and he is spending your tax dollars well. We have about a $75 million budget in this fiscal year, and hopefully this year Will is committed voluntarily to 115 million tourists. Right? But I know you're talking about the future of our state, but let's think about what we've accomplished and what you have accomplished in 5 years and 8 months. We have cut taxes, and stop and think about it. It really matters who you elect. And so when you think about your time every day, you're busy in your business life, you're busy in your jobs, but you have to be politically active. You have to say, we've got to get the right people elected, because if you don't, what we've accomplished over the last less than 6 years will end. And this is about your kids, my kids, if you have grandkids like I do, our grandkids. It's about, what Harris Rosen's doing, those kids in Tangelo Park, because nobody gets out of school and says, I'm anxious about unemployment. I'm anxious about public housing. I lived in public housing. You shouldn't be anxious to live there. Okay, they don't want to go on food stamps. They want to live the dream, and their dreams are all different. I mean, I have grandkids, and My first two, the one that's 3 and one that's almost 5, they have clearly different dreams. Now, the one's going to be a policeman and one's going to be a fireman. And I think the fireman's going to be a fireman because the 5-year-old told him that's what he was going to be. But he'll have his own dreams eventually. But here's what you've accomplished. We've cut taxes 55 times, $5.5 billion. I walked in with a $4 billion budget deficit, and guess what's happened to our economy? It's skyrocketed. Our budget now is up $12 billion because, not because we raised taxes, we cut taxes and fees. It's because we've grown our economy dramatically. We've cut 4,500 regulations. How many more regulations do you need? You don't. You know, there's clearly things we need to regulate. There's clearly things we've got to make sure we run efficiently as a government. But the truth is, you need to be able to run your business. You need to run your life without government intrusion as much as possible. We had not cut debt in the state in over 20 years. The 4 prior years, we almost increased the debt, I think almost $9 billion. We've cut the state debt by $7.5 billion. And we would cut it more if Jim didn't come up with more projects that we can build. But they're worthwhile projects, and and I think for all of us, they'll be nice when they're finished. And we're accelerating a lot of our transportation, which is where we're spending a lot of money, which is going to pay off. Our education system, I assume Marshall Kreiser's here, I don't see him, but you can be really proud of our university system now. 22% of the university budget is now tied to performance. Generally, what's it cost to get a degree? Do you get a job? How much money do you make? I was able to, because of the GI Bill, I was able to get out of a private law school with no debt. Think about how hard it is to get out of a public university or public law school without a lot of debt. We've stopped the growth in tuition. We've cut the cost of a prepaid plan in half. In half. I was at a Whole Foods store about a year ago, and I grabbed a sandwich and sat down, and the lady that was cleaning where you sit down and have a meal at Whole Foods, she came up to me. She said, "But for you, my child I would not be able to pay for his prepaid," because we were able to cut it in half. That's a big deal, to control tuition, to make sure people can get a job when they get out of school. Now our universities are very much tied to, is there a job at the end of this 4 years? And the goal is 4 years. So if you think about what's the most important to a family is get a job. Number 2 is get a great education. You can be very proud of your K-12 system, your state college system. I don't know if Pam Stewart's here and Madeline's here, but we have a great system that is very focused on making sure our children are ready for a career, along with our universities. The third thing that people care about is they want to be safe. We're at 45-year low in our crime rate. Our sheriff's department, police departments, FDLE, the Attorney General, they're doing a great job. Corrections, they all do a great job. And they're keeping you and your family safe. Everybody wants to live in a safe neighborhood. So if you think about the future of the state, and the way I think about it is, because I've got 830 days to go, when I get out of office, I want people to say this: my business has to be in Florida because I know I can serve my customer better if my business is in Florida. I have to be in Florida because I know I can get a good paying job in Florida. I have to be in Florida because my children have a better chance to live in the dream of this country, which is clearly tied to education, than any place in the world. I have to live in Florida because I know I can live in a safe neighborhood, a neighborhood where we believe in our law enforcement, we support our law enforcement, we love our law enforcement. So if we're going to continue the success we have, and we have high expectations, we all have high expectations, we have to be more aggressive at what we want. We have to demand from our elected leaders exactly what they're going to do when they run for office, and then exactly what they're going to do once they get in there. Are they going to create a better job market? Are they going to create a better education system? Are they going to keep us safe? And that should be our expectation. That's my expectation for my family. That's my expectation for my daughters, my grandchildren, and that should be yours. And I assume that is yours. That's what we all want. We just finished our Enterprise Florida meeting a few minutes ago. And Enterprise Florida has been a very successful entity. We have won over 500 competitive projects. And we get a guaranteed return, or we don't put the money out. So the jobs are created, or we don't put the money out. We have got to continue to make sure Enterprise Florida is very focused on exactly their goal My goal, my last 830 days, is jobs, then jobs, and then jobs, and then jobs. It's the most important thing for a family. I watched my mom struggle to put food on the table. I know watch my dad get his car repossessed. That's a horrible life. That was going on when I got elected. That will go on again if we don't think about who we elect. That will go on again if we are not active in making sure we have great legislative sessions where we cut taxes, reduce regulation, improve our education, and keep everybody safe. So at Enterprise Florida, we're going to have legislation that's going to very focus on Enterprise Florida's main goal. It's jobs, it's jobs, it's jobs. So there'll be a restructuring. David Wilkins started that process, and Stan Connolly and Joe York were very helpful in making sure we really think about how we make Enterprise Florida even better. We've got to be part of the game. We have to, even though we have lower taxes, even though we have the lowest taxes, or so we're the second lowest taxes per capita in the country, we've got to understand if we don't have an economic incentive toolkit, we're not going to get corporate office moves. We're not going to get regional office moves. We're not going to get a lot of different things that can come here. We highlighted 4 companies this morning at our Enterprise Florida meeting. They would not be here but for Enterprise Florida and our economic incentive toolkit. So my budget this year, we're going to include $85 million for economic incentives, and we will guarantee that our taxpayers get a return, and we're going to get more jobs. Third, no different than what y'all do here. I've had a few summits where I try to get people together and think about how do we aggressively go forward and get things done. We had an education summit this summer where we talked about how do we move our education system faster, because we want the best jobs here. And if we have the best universities, and they're very focused on jobs at State College and our K-12, then there's a greater chance for companies that are going to be here, and our kids and our grandkids get great jobs. So I'm going to have, we had a good summit this last summer. We're going to have an economic summit in the spring and just focus on how do we move even faster. So just put it in perspective, our job growth rate is 3.4%. The national number is 1.9%. We are way ahead of everybody else. I always used to joke with Governor Perry when he was governor that our state was always going to be better than him. When I got elected, he laughed. He said, we've added 200,000 jobs during the session. You lost 800,000 jobs. He said, you can go on TV all you want. I will act like I'm worried, but I'm not worried. I call him once a month, third Friday of the month, and let him know for 17 straight months, we've kicked their rear in job creation. And then he reminds me he's no longer the governor and he's on Dancing with the Stars. And he told me what number I had to call. I told him I talked to him yesterday, and I said, look, I got every phone I could, and I called as many times as I could to get you as many votes as possible to stay on. So the judges didn't seem to think he was doing a good enough job. So, but he was excited. He didn't, when I first heard he was going to do it, we talked, and he didn't want to say he was excited about doing Dance with the Stars. He said he was only doing it for veterans. It seemed like he was having a lot of fun out there in doing it, although I'm sure he was pretty nervous. So I want to thank everybody at the Chamber for what you're doing. If it wasn't for the Chamber, the success we've had over the last 5 years and 8 months wouldn't have happened. Your whole team, starting with Mark, David, Marion, the whole team, you guys, they all do a wonderful job. And then many of you have served on boards and commissions around the state, whether it's our universities or state colleges or transportation and a variety of things. You are doing a great job, and we're getting a lot of things done through boards and commissions around the state. I think I have about 2,900 appointments, and you are doing a great job in moving the state along. But we should have higher expectations. We should clearly be, no ifs, ands, buts about it, the best job market in the world. We should have the best jobs. We should be able to recruit the best companies. We should have the best education system. We can do all these things. We have the budget to do it, and we should be the safest state. But it's all up to us whether we do it or not. So hope you have a great lunch, and hope you have a great conference, and I look forward to working with each of you over the next 830 days. Have a great day. Bye-bye.